to go. In a way, I would say I found my voice. You know, the reason I can say that is because I feel confident about what I'm doing. I wake up every day excited about what I'm doing. I was obsessed with breaking things so I could put it back together.
Got that on camera.
My name is Taofeek Abijako, and I'm the founder of a New York-based contemporary clothing line called Head of State, which I founded in 2016. Currently working on 2 movies, new collection for September, and you know, we just did the Met Gala, which was insane, took the wind out of me. And also currently we're doing production for our collection, which you know, people should be seeing soon. Some of my favorite stores like Essence, H. Lorenzo in LA. I started this brand in 2016. Like I was literally couch surfing at the manufacturers, like, you know, like a couple years ago, like, you know, trying to get them to, you know, take me on as a client. But once, you know, like pivotal moments, like, you know, the Met Gala happens, everyone assumes, oh, this was overnight. This was like, you know, I'm still putting my 10,000 hours. I'm not saying I'm there yet. That's fashion right there. That's fashion right there. So my dad was a designer back in Ajegunle, which is the small town in Lagos I was born in. And he had a small studio, which was like, you know, a walk away from the house we lived in. So I remember tagging along with him and just being interested in, like, you know, in that space specifically. It was just like, you know, I just love the idea of like someone coming in. My dad looks at sketches something, and they come back a few days later, you see the final piece. I was very captivated by that process. I wasn't allowed to touch anything. So what I did was I was sketching the activities that were happening in the space itself. And that's actually how I learned garment construction, because I was sketching what was in front of me and they were constructing garments in front of me. Hi. But when it comes to like the very technical part, I had to teach myself. So like I didn't know what this was until I showed up to a sample maker for the first time, and they were like, "Do you have this?" And I was like, "Oh." I spent so much time with the, you know, in the sample room, just always like sort of like learning, and that sort of like, you know, gave birth to me knowing how to put together my own tech pack that I could submit to a pattern maker to convert into this. It's a long learning process, but it's very much worth it, because then you can manipulate any fabric the way you want it. Like, you know, just the joy of being able to build anything from scratch, you know, it's like that's the ultimate satisfaction that comes with it. And I think it's the perfect size. I've never thought about myself being a fashion designer, even when, you know, I didn't even consider fashion. I actually had a weird relationship with fashion. You know, I just thought it wasn't, you know, what I wanted to do. And I was more like, oh, I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to do all of these things. I sort of like grew up in this space where, you know, everyone was watching out for each other. And then once I moved to the US and I got my own bedroom for the first time, I thought that was a privilege. I was like very lucky. I was like, are you sure? I asked my dad, are you sure this is my room? And that sort of like made me sort of like, you know, start appreciating the importance of like, you know, space. So like, you know, the meaning behind space itself. I had this big dream of having a not-for-profit architectural firm, but I'm clearly not a licensed architect. So in a way, it's impossible to go down that route. So I pretty much like devised this little scheme of like the brand Head of State, and there's an initiative aspect where we build sustainable spaces in marginalized communities, especially from where I'm from. So what I do is I sort of like, you know, gather people from this community, and we figure out what exactly is a problem we're looking to tackle, and have a conversation with all of these people. So I'm not going into these communities to actually like impose myself on my ideas. I sort of like go in to talk and engage with people. There's a full-blown conversations we can have here. You know, in a way, it's like, how do we construct space? How do we, you know, assign space, for example? So all of those things sort of like, you know, give birth to my interest in, you know, trying to build it sort of like spaces I want to see myself in, and people who look like me want to see themselves in. I usually freestyle on paper, and then I take a picture of it, and then make the digital version. Yeah, and then I pretty much like trace what I have on paper and then add colors to it. I would say the biggest advice coming into this is like have a clear idea of like what you really, really want. And no, it's not just about your vision itself, but also how your vision relates to other people. I've gone past the idea of like wanting a seat at the table. I think the biggest flex, to be honest, is being able to create your own table. Tell your own story. It's like in a nutshell, like, no one knows you more than you know yourself. The very second I realized I need to tell my own story, that first I felt like just this massive weight off my shoulder, because then I have, there's no expectation set. Like it's my story, especially for the Black artists or even for Black audiences in general. What storytelling does is it humanizes our experience. I was a recipient of the Black Design Visionary Grant, which is something that has been life changing. I realized like, no amount of rejection can make me reject my own stories. What I'm most proud of is the same reason I started a brand still exists today. It's the foundation of every little thing I do. And in a way, it's like I've been building on that for the past 5-6 years now. No amount of Met Galas or no amount of like, grants or, like wherever it is can change that whatsoever. It's still there.